So now that we have our Power BI set up, our data set set up, we're going to jump right into creating a report with it and see how easy that really is. So go ahead and start up your Power BI and we're going to get started. So once you log into Power BI here, I'm just at my home area within Power BI. Don't get overwhelmed by all of this. In our last video, we created this personal data set. So if you haven't viewed that video and you don't have a data set or don't know how to create one by using the get data, storing a file inside of OneDrive and such, you might want to view that video. But let's go ahead and create ourselves a report based on that data set. And remember, this data set here, when we update this data set, the report will automatically update as well. So let's click on New Report. So here, New Report, we can click on how we want to get there, right? By saying publish, pick a published data set. Okay, notice here I hit New Report, goes to there, or I can hit Create over here. Goes to the same place. We're going to click on, we're going to click on Pick a Published Data Set. Now you can, when creating reports, and what I'm going to show you here in Power BI is totally doable just by pasting data into, when you click on this option, by the way, it just basically gives you a place to dump your Excel data. Okay. So, and then it'll automatically create a report for you. So that's really a down and dirty, very fast. It doesn't update. It doesn't do any of the other stuff. So, but if you just have a spreadsheet and want to do that, this is a way to do that. We're going to go over that in another video. But this video is using a data set. So pick a published data set. Personal, we're going to just hit create. Now, look, it just opens up my screen to an editor type of studio that I can work on. Here, I'm just going to get rid of this because I really don't need this, but I could use some more real estate here. Now, one trick that I'll show you just to begin with, and it's right here, ask a question. If you just double click, it's going to go ahead and give you all types of questions. So if you're not sure what you want to look at and how you want to see the data, you could just create one of these predefined, questions, right? Click on it, double click, and now that's going to give me a count of tasks. If you like this and you want this, you can just say, you click here, and then it automatically turns it into whatever you want, right? 101 tasks. But let's look at this in a little more detail over here to kind of get a little familiar with what we're doing here. So here on the far right is your data set right here, fields, tasks. Okay, that's what we have. Okay, so that's the table. And this is all of the data fields from that planner dump that we did. And notice here that you have your count of tasks. Notice here that you have fields. See this right here? Fields. Okay, count of tasks. This is where you get your visualization. So I could turn this right now. It's on 1, 2, 3, a card. But I could say I want it this way. That's not very nice. I could say I want, that's not very nice. That's not very nice. That one's kind of cool, I guess. Okay. There's lots of things that I can do, different ways that I can view this information. Okay. Some of them don't make sense as I just click there, and you're just going to have to play around and experiment with what works for you. I think that's probably one of the more challenging things with Power BI is figuring out what really works for you in the way you want to do it. Once you get it in here, notice here that it's highlighted, and notice here that I have its fields right here, and I have its filters right here. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but I can move that around. Once I click outside and it's no longer highlighted, notice I don't have any data fields because it's not looking at anything. So we're going to go over that in a moment too, how to add some stuff. So let's just keep looking at this. Count of tasks. Let's say I don't want to name it count of tasks. I want to do a right click here. I can rename this for this visual. So for right here, okay, we just put number of tasks. Okay, so you can play with it. I just wanted to show you that you can do that. Also, if you click on this down arrow here, there's different options that come. Now this one, there aren't many options, but I'm going to show you in another, when we add some more data. This right here is the label itself. What color is it? Right, we can change the color. You can just kind of play around in here. There's where it's located, alternate text. You can change its background. And you can do all kinds of cool stuff, right? All right, so, and then you kind of go to the title itself and you can change that and, you know, where to align it. And there's just a ton of stuff that you can do in here. So you're just going to have to poke around in here and figure out what it is that works for you. I will tell you one of the ones that confused me a little bit, word wrap, I don't want that, is this right here. It's the category. Okay, that's the setting, by the way. Category, and I'm going to make it that same color. Okay, so now I have a square here. I can put this anywhere I want on my screen. Good to go. And I can add multiple cards, is what they call them, to my Power BI workspace. Easy enough? All right, let's get one that's a little more complicated. Let's do this one. Okay. So here you notice that I've just clicked on the lines, right? And notice here, as soon as I did that, I get an access, I get a legend, right? I get values, secondary values, etc. Okay? So, and notice here I have fields that I can choose from. So I want to look at when a task is created, when it's completed, and what the activity level is on my tasks. So I'm managing large teams with lots of tasks. I want to be very specific on what it is that I'm seeing here. Okay, so that's easy. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I need to do, and I think this is the hardest thing for most people, is what is it? What's the axis? What's the legend, right? How do I get that all to work? So just play with it. But here I'm going to show you a few things. You're going to grab this created date. I'm going to make it the axis. Okay? No problem. Nothing's showing up. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. It's easy enough. We're going to go ahead and do a couple other fields here. All right. So on the legend, we're going to leave that alone. For values, though, I want to do the tasks themselves. Okay, so good. Now I'm getting somewhere, right? And then my secondary field, I want to do where the tasks have been completed. So I'm going to do that by completed date right here. Okay. So now you can see we're starting to pull something together here, right? So we can start getting a cool graph going on here. Here I have the count of my task names, okay, and a count of my completed tasks. Well, this count of task name, that doesn't really make much sense. So let's go ahead and change that one to count of task name. Let's just change that name. I'm going to click on here. Notice here I have other options, by the way, which we'll go to in another time. But let's just rename this right now. And let's just go ahead and name it task creation. Now, or created. So we're just doing it temporarily for these fields. Rename for this visual only. So we're just going to go ahead and just say task completed. Okay. Whoops. Too many fingers. All right. So now I have, whoops, that one didn't take. I'm going to click back in there. Click on there. Task created. Hit the enter key. Great. Now we can see task created. Oh, task created. How about we put task completed there? All right. So you can see this is pretty easy to change around. Okay. So if you forget or you want to look at this in the future and see what fields they are, you can just hold this over like this. And you see how it says tasks in the quotation marks and then task name in the square brackets? That means I'm using this field right here, task name. Okay, I don't need to add any other data here, and I don't need to adjust anything here on this one, but that's pretty much it, except I want to change these colors. So when the task is created is fine, and the task completed, I guess those colors are fine. You know what, actually, let's change task completed to green. So we do that by clicking on here. And then we find out which one it is. Whoops, Daisy. Secondary, I believe, is it. So here, that's not it. So then we just kind of add data labels. There you go. We just kind of have to, so you can see data colors. There we are. All right, task created. Let's make that green. No color there, so we're just going to click in here, make it a green. Okay, and then task completed. We'll make it a blue. All right. So that's pretty simple, right? Now I have this graph. It's working. It shows me activity. I can show the values if I want as well. It's in here. Data labels on. There you go. And then I can change the color of those data labels so that I can actually see them. Instead of changing the color, let's just change the font here to black. Okay. So now I can see the number of tasks that are being completed and the number of tasks being created and the rate at which that is occurring, if it's occurring, things of that nature. This becomes very helpful if you're managing a team using Planner. You can easily get to where the data is. Now, this video has gone far too long. I wanted to show you one last item that I think you'll find very interesting because it uses a different filter system. So let's go ahead and do one here. Let's see if it's available to us. Task, number of tasks completed by. All right, and we'll just take that one. We'll accept that. Okay, and so now we can see task completed by. I'm not really sure who that is, right? So I can click on here. I can put in a value. I can add a data field here. So I could say assigned to, for example, task completed by, right? And so there's lots of different fields that I can do. Notice it changes it here, assigned to, things of that nature. So I just wanted to kind of introduce that to you. I'll do a couple more videos on using Power BI and creating a couple different types of reports. But that's a pretty simple report that we're using, again, from this spreadsheet, from this planner. We're getting this data so that I can easily at any time watch this. And when I get ready to do this, I can save it. I can save it as a report. I can save it as a dashboard. I got lots of other options. I can analyze in Excel. So very, very useful tool.